This portion of the news is brought to you by Inspiration Senior Living, where we provide affordable elegance to Pahrump area seniors. Give us a call at 751-2300 and make an appointment to tour our community.
Over the past several years, electronic or e-cigarettes have grown in popularity. Today's e-cigarette users include a growing number of teenagers, many who have never smoked tobacco. A new study looked at whether younger teens that began using e-cigarettes might also be more likely to experiment with smokable tobacco products.
This health tip is brought to you by
Desert View Hospital and Mountain Valley Physicians Group. Don't put your health on hold. We have time for you. Call us to schedule your appointment. 775-751-7100.
E-cigarettes first entered the market as an alternative for adults who wanted to quit smoking. But over the years, things have changed.
They come in attractive flavors like cotton candy, bubble gum. They're very high-tech, and, they're modern and they're cool,
which helps make them very popular with young people. Michelle Mercado, now in her 20s, smokes regular cigarettes, but also started using e-cigarettes in her teens.
I do see a lot of people, like high schoolers and like young adults, getting into the whole vape pen and the e-cigarette thing.
Dr. Adam Leventhal from the University of Southern California Keck School of Medicine and co-authors surveyed more than 2,300 Los Angeles area high school students at the beginning of 9th grade. Students included in the survey all reported never using any smokable tobacco products.
We compared teens who had used e-cigarettes to teens who hadn't, and we looked to see whether there were differences between those two groups in the initiation of smoking of combustible tobacco products.
These students were surveyed again 6 months later and also when entering 10th grade.
The teens who used e-cigarettes were more than 4 times more likely to start smoking than the teens who hadn't used e-cigarettes. The associations were consistent across all the different types of tobacco products, regular cigarettes, cigars, or even hookah tobacco water pipe. They were more likely to use 2 or more products for the first time during high school in comparison to teens who hadn't used e-cigarettes.
This trend continued as the students entered 10th grade. Even when adjusting for other factors like peer pressure, impulsive tendencies, and socioeconomic status, all risk factors for starting smoking, these associations remained.
This uptick that we're seeing in adolescent e-cigarette use could potentially down the road lead to a new generation of tobacco smokers.
Catherine Dolph, The JAMA Report.
This was an observational study. Further research is needed to determine whether the association between e-cigarette use and subsequent smoking is causal. Nevada's U.S. Senator Harry Reid today helped unveil a new 80-acre community solar generation project to be managed by Pahrump-based Valley Electric Association. The 15-megawatt project, to be located on the north end of Pahrump, will create 200 jobs and an unspecified amount of new tax revenue. Construction on the project to begin later this year and could start producing power by 2016. Assemblyman James Oscarson gives an update on the upcoming road construction and improvements.
It's been a long time coming. We were just able to work closely with NDOT last session and this session to make sure some things happened. Identified in a visit with Deputy Director Bill Hoffman from NDOT that was able to, we actually show him what was going on in this community with the roads. Worked with the county roads folks, with the sheriff, with the fire department to see that there's really some significant needs here, and they've identified those and are moving forward with progress on those issues.
Because you guys spent a day or two going up and down Nye County roads and pointing out areas that were a little bit of an issue.
We went up 160, we went out Johnny, we went all those places to look. There's some really exciting things that are happening. A couple that are also in the queue is a turn lane off of the 95 onto the 160 as you're coming from Beatty, which will be really great because, as we all know, there's not a turn lane there, and that'll be helpful, as well as some things on the Johnny Curve, I believe, that are going to change and move forward. So I think we're going to really make some good progress. The cable rail system will be huge. Chief Lewis has some significant difficulty law enforcement that the Highway Patrol needs to do along that stretch.
And yeah, that was a little bit of an issue because there's a long way between the time that you can actually cross that highway there. Do you know how many openings that they're going to have?
I understand that they're going to be we're hoping every mile. Mm-hmm. But in addition to that, they can't just cut the rails and do that, they have to put additional subsurface structures in to make sure that the heavy equipment, the fire engines, if they need to, the ambulances and things, can cross there, not just on a gravel area, but in an area that they'll be maintained and taken care of. So that's important as well. There's drainage issues that they have to address. So that's an expensive project, but one that will set a standard for the rest of the state.
One of the things that, if you've been a long-time resident here, that you've noticed is the decrease in fatalities down by the Tacopa turnoff area because of the road widening that's happened there, and that the road is not has a little bit of a shoulder. Are we looking at some of those areas?
Well, I think what's going to happen is you're going to see about a 5-mile stretch coming up the mountain that's going to change significantly, and that's one of the things that's in that NDOT budget that will hopefully, that project will be started before the end of the year. Certainly that'll create probably some traffic slowdowns and knowledge that they're safe and secure in those areas. But we need to get any areas we can. As you know, the 90 or the 160 all the way out to the 95 has really bad shoulder issues. Trying to work on those as well. It's a priority system. We got, I think, $41 million this cycle to do some things in Nye County, and I think that'll make a huge difference for us.
They grew up together, fought off an attacker together, and accepted a nation's honor together. 3 days after they pounced on and subdued a gunman Friday aboard a packed train headed to Paris, American childhood friends Anthony Sad, Spencer Stone, and Alex Scarlateos received the Legion of Honor, France's highest recognition. The Americans, who reportedly met in middle school in California, planned on spending the summer sightseeing together. It was Sadler's first trip to Europe, and National Guardsman Scarlateos was on a month-long break after serving in Afghanistan. Stone is an Air Force serviceman. They will return to the United States celebrated for their courage and quick action and for exemplifying teamwork and friendship. North Korea and South Korea have reached an agreement to de-escalate tensions on the Korean peninsula. South Korea will get the apology it demanded over recent military escalation by the North, and the South will stop broadcasting propaganda that infuriated the North. North Korea says it regrets that South Korean soldiers were injured by landmines and lifts its semi-state of war under an agreement by the two countries. When we return, we're going to talk about Rotary's $10,000 giveaway. Welcome back to News 46. The Rotary's annual $10,000 giveaway could win you $11,000 if you buy your tickets early enough.
The Rotary is having their annual fundraiser, and this is the fundraiser that they use every year to do so much for our community. Whether it's with the schools, whether it's with the elderly, whether it's with the veterans, they have to have funds to do all they're doing. And so this is the annual fundraiser, and it's the $10,000 giveaway.
Yeah, but that's changed, right? There's $11,000 that you might be able to win.
Well, if you get your ticket soon enough, you will get an extra $1,000.
Wow.
So
So that encourages everybody to buy early.
we're trying to get people to buy these tickets early. When you talk about $10,000 giveaway, and you talk about, look at the fact that they're only selling 400 tickets.
You got a good chance.
Excellent odds. You can't beat that anywhere. So 400 tickets being sold. You could buy as many as you want. I'm buying one. That's all I can afford. But I'd love to win the $10,000.
And we've
$11,000 since I have mine sooner.
Exactly. And we've seen this over and over again, our friends and neighbors being able to win this money. And the tickets are a little bit different than they were before in the previous years. I know last year we did this, and it seems to be working out. Before, the tickets were $100 per ticket, and that comes with your dinner.
Yeah.
Now the tickets for the giveaway are $75. Yeah, $75.
They're $75, and you can win the $10,000 or $11,000, depending on when you buy your ticket.
And then if you want dinner,
If you want dinner, the dinners are $20 each, and it's a prime rib dinner. And so you can't beat that either.
so you're still getting a good deal because it turns out to be $95 instead of the $100 if you decide to have dinner. If you don't want to have dinner,
That's correct. And and again, it's all for charity. If you don't win the $10,000, it is tax deductible, and you can't lose.
and there's lots of giveaways and raffles there.
There are lots of giveaways. In addition to the ticket being drawn for the $10,000 or $11,000, there's also tickets being drawn for a lot of the other things that people are donating to the Rotary.
What night is this on?
This is on Sunday, and it's on October 18th, starting at 2 p.m., and it's at Mountain Falls.
And you don't have to be present to win, right?
You do not have to be present to win. I have friends in San Diego. We have friends in Los Angeles, and they're buying tickets.
So how do we get tickets?
You can contact any Rotarian. Any Rotarian. We also have some phone numbers you can call. Roy Makins, he's our club president, at 775-727-5222, or you call Barbara Thompson at 775-764-0681.
Let's join Courtney Salmon with Weekend Sports.
Weekend Sports is brought to you by Wolfenstein Construction. I am so excited. Pahrump Valley High School sports officially start this week. Football has their first game on Friday night. They travel to Del Sol High School in Las Vegas for the first game of the season. They then host their first home game next Friday against Sunrise Mountain. The boys and girls soccer teams start this weekend too. They travel to Mesquite for a tournament. In the NFL, there are questions starting to circle about the way the season is being run. In yesterday's preseason game featuring the Green Bay Packers and the Pittsburgh Steelers, 2 key players were injured. The Packers wide receiver Jordy Nelson suffered a knee injury in the first possession of the first quarter of the game, likely a torn ACL, and he is likely out for the season. For Pittsburgh, center Marquise Pouncey suffered a broken bone in his ankle that will require surgery, and he will be out until at least the end of September. Players and coaches hate to lose players in any way, but to lose them in games that are being dubbed quote-unquote meaningless is even worse. Preseason football is something the players hate, but it doesn't mean it's going to change. There have been a slew of injuries already this season, not all in preseason games, but enough injuries to question whether or not preseason games are worth the risk. Giants safety Bennett Jackson is out for the season with a knee injury. Kelvin Benjamin suffered a torn ACL and is out for the season. Free safety Louis Delmas with the Miami Dolphins is out for the season with a torn ACL. And the list goes on and on. Some of those injuries happened in practices, not preseason games. However, if the preseason was shortened and the teams didn't start practicing so soon and the players had a little more time off, would players be less injury prone? That is kind of the debate right now. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell has thought about shortening the preseason, but only if the Players Association agrees to lengthen the regular season. As fans, some may want more football, more competitive football, but logistically at what cost? I'm not saying the preseason should be shortened or the regular season lengthened. I'm saying, though, as a Packer fan and a fantasy football player, I am so sad to lose Jordy Nelson. And it is never fun to see season-ending injuries, especially in preseason games that don't count toward a shot at a Super Bowl win. On Saturday, the minor league baseball team, the Las Vegas 51s, beat the Omaha Storm Chasers 8-3 at Cashman Field in Las Vegas. Left fielder Travis Tejeron homered in his first 3 at-bats, a 2-run homer in the second inning, and solo shots in the 4th and 5th innings. Coupled with El Paso's loss, the 51s moved back into first place in the PCL's Pacific South Division. Darren Gorski earned his 51s leading 9th victory. He allowed 3 runs on 6 hits over 6 innings while walking 3 and fanning 3 on 99 pitches. This has been Weekend Sports. I'm Courtney Solman with News 46.
Thanks, Courtney. We'll have Noah here with your weather when we return.